If you've followed my work, you know that I consider omega-3 fish oil to be an indispensable part of my daily regimen, and that I've recommended it for my patients and followers for decades. If you're already taking omega-3s, you should know that I've discovered a product so special that it's become my go-to brand. Dr. Jeffrey Bland, one of the luminaries in the world of complementary health, takes omega-3s to a new level. Omega-3 Rejuvenate from Big Bold Health is a premium blend of pure oils from wild-caught Alaskan cod and sockeye salmon, sourced from the pristine waters of Alaska. Unlike most other brands, Omega-3 Rejuvenate does it differently. The product comes straight from the sea into the hands of skilled fishermen, instantly flash frozen, and taken to their specially designed shoreside plant using a low-heat technique to extract the pure amber omega oil that contains all natural and abundant full-spectrum omega-3s, including EPA, DHA, as well as DPA, plus all natural vitamins A and D, and naturally occurring pro-resolving mediators to support cardiovascular, cognitive, and immune health. Their unique process preserves the natural goodness of the fish, so you get maximum benefits in every soft gel. No fillers, no shortcuts, just pure, potent wellness. Visit bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman and experience the difference. That's bigboldhealth.com/Hoffman for Omega-3 Rejuvenate. Use coupon code Hoffman20 for 20% off site-wide. Welcome to today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ronald Hoffman. Today, we're going to take a look at nutritional support for brain health. It is a controversial area because, according to some people in the media, there have been some critical reports about the notion that we can enhance brain power with nutrition. However, in my experience over many decades, nutrition, not just healthy diet, but also targeted nutritional supplementation can be helpful for the brain. And to put this a little bit in context, recently there was a preprint. It hasn't yet actually been peer-reviewed and published in a medical journal, although it is destined to be published in a medical journal for sure. The paper is entitled Precision Medicine Treatment of Alzheimer's Disease, Successful Randomized Control Trial. They took a group of individuals and they compared them to controls, and they had a multifaceted lifestyle approach with emphasis on good diet and exercise and good sleep habits, but also with targeted nutritional supplementation to support and enhance brain health. And what they found was dramatic. They actually found not just a slowing down of the progression towards Alzheimer's disease in these individuals with something called MCI, mild cognitive impairment. They also found improvements. They even found reversal of cognitive symptoms. So exciting new frontier in the treatment of Alzheimer's. Yes, we have these blockbuster drugs, injectable drugs. They're associated with a lot of side effects and expense. We're not yet here, in my opinion, and the opinion of some neurologists that I knew, they're reluctant to use these drugs because of the potential downsides. Today with us to discuss natural support for cognitive health is one of our frequent contributors. I always learn something, and I'm sure you will, from today's discussion with Neil Levin. He's Senior Nutrition Education Manager and a product formulator for Protocol for Life Balance. That's the professional line of a retail brand called Now Foods, ubiquitous in health food stores all across America and all across the world. He's an award-winning board-certified clinical nutritionist and a founder and former officer of the American Nutrition Association, an organization that I'm part of now. And he is, virtually encyclopedic in his knowledge about nutrition. So without further ado, Neil, it's a pleasure having you back on Intelligent Medicine. Sorry about that long-winded introduction, but I thought it would situate our discussion.
Well, I guess there's a lot to talk about, and I have a long history, and we have a history too. So it's nice being with you again.
Yes, and by the way, we just saw each other in Scottsdale, Arizona, at the Alliance for Natural Health, the leadership conference. that was there, and was happy to see that PFLB, Protocol for Life Balance, and Now Foods was capably represented by you as certainly a leader in the field. So thanks for joining us there, and we had a good time. It's always good to see you, off of Zoom in person. Yeah.
Yes.
So, great. So, help us situate this conversation, because I think it is acknowledged, pretty much acknowledged, even by orthodox medicine, mainstream media, that diet matters, nutrition matters. But I think that's as far as they want to go. They want to say that a healthy diet is important. Don't eat a lot of junk because it's going to ultimately undermine your cognitive health. So, what say you to that?
I believe in a good diet, but, food doesn't always contain what it's supposed to contain because of the processing, the storage, the varieties used, and people need more of certain things based on their lifestyle, their environmental impacts, the medications they're on, so many things. And cognitive health is something that challenges, it can challenge people of any age, but it tends to increase with age, this challenge to our cognitive abilities. And the National Institute of Aging, actually says, and I always cite this when I'm giving presentations on aging or brain health, they say that two of the major causes of problems to the brain as we age are inflammation and oxidation.
Okay.
So these challenges that we have, nutrients that we could take, or botanicals we could take, or amino acids we could take, that actually affect these variables, these very important variables for brain health, are really being neglected by modern conventional medicine. They're thinking, well, we have a drug for that, or just eat a good diet, eat a Mediterranean diet, or eat whatever kind of diet they recommend, keto diet. But diets are often lacking. Anyone who's on any kind of restricted diet, and almost everyone these days is on some kind of restricted diet.
Especially people taking these weight loss medications, they're eating very meager amounts of food.
Yeah, and they're restricting the nutrients coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have enough nutrients coming in to even meet your basic needs, how are you going to meet the increased needs you might have because of environmental issues, some kind of inflammation in the brain, some kind of oxidation in the brain? These are factors that everyone's experiencing to various degrees, but they're not always have the right diet and nutrient inputs to offset them.
Okay. So let's go through some of the most plausible nutrients. Obviously there's a universe of nutrients, and Protocol for Life Balance has kind of zeroed in on some of the more plausible contenders for brain health. So, perhaps we can start with curcumin, which is something that, there's controversy about curcumin. Is it safe? Is it, there's actually concerns that are raised sometimes about its safety. There's also concerns about, how do you make it bioavailable? Because, you can eat a lot of curry. Okay, fine, not that bioavailable. And then there's the curcumin wars. My form is better than your form. Mine is more bioavailable. It's like all these different delivery systems. Help us clear up some of these controversies, please.
Well, actually, the curcumin is the active ingredient. It's 3 compounds, really, but it's called curcumin in the spice turmeric. Turmeric is, of course, the yellow spice that's used in curry, as you mentioned, or mustard. A lot of people are familiar with the yellow mustards. They're using that spice, which also colors it. The spice is actually very bioavailable. It's in a soluble matrix. When they extract the curcumin, they destroy that soluble matrix and make it insoluble.
Ding. This is already something I didn't know. So I'm ready. You're already making me smarter. So, well, actually, I think there's some studies from, Indian subcontinent that suggest that people who consume a lot of curcumin are somewhat shielded from cognitive decline, if I'm not mistaken. So even dietary curry has that effect. But you say that already it's naturally more bioavailable, and then by processing it into and purifying it, we think we're getting the active compounds, but maybe making it overall less absorbable.
Yes, the curcumin in turmeric, if you just have the fresh turmeric root, which you could buy in a produce store, if you buy the dried spice, it's about 40 times more bioavailable than curcumin extract, than the isolate. So the companies have, as you mentioned, strategies to try to restore at least some of that solubility and make it more bioavailable. The first thing they did was add black pepper extract.
Right.
And black pepper extract works. It gently irritates the intestinal tract and opens up those tight junctions to allow more things in. And it also slows the processing of the curcumin in the liver to keep the levels a little higher.
Okay.
And I'm not a great fan of those, frankly. Yeah. They increase bioavailability by about 50%, 50% from 2 or 3% of what it was, adds another little bit.
So let me just point out, and I don't want to scare people off, but there in Europe in particular, there's a move afoot to restrict or even ban curcumin, especially the kind of curcumin that is enhanced with something called bioperine, which is the active ingredient in pepper, because there have been a few episodes of liver toxicity. And we have to, we look at these episodes kind of skeptically because so many people have liver problems, mostly dietary, sometimes concomitantly they're taking medications, statins, you name it, all innumerable medicines cause liver problems. And environmental exposures cause liver. So people, when they get liver problems, they say, oh, it's the curcumin. Well, maybe it's not the curcumin. It could be a concatenation of all these bad, drinking. They go, drink a lot. But they say that that's maybe, because we don't hear a lot about curcumin toxicity outside of those few instances, right? So I'm not particularly concerned about it.
I'm not that concerned about it, but I don't like that mechanism.
Okay.
To irritate the gut and to slow liver function, to me is not desirable.
Okay.
For you have a pretty horrible bioavailability when you have the extract, and you make a tiny bit less.
Okay.
Not bioavailable. You increase the bioavailability 40 or 50% from 2% to 3% or less. It's still pretty bad.
Okay.
There are other strategies where they add polysorbate 80, and you can increase it by 180 times or something, but it has no effect on inflammatory markers because that's a detergent. It really weakens the gut barrier, and the liver detoxifies it, gets rid of it as quick as it goes in.
Okay.
So sometimes the strategies backfire. So that's actually an example I use that bioavailability does not necessarily affect efficacy.
Right.
Efficacy really has to be proven separately from bioavailability. You can't assume just because it gets in the first place, it's going to work.
Because they look at blood levels, but you can have blood levels so the cows come home. What you want to see is an effect on arthritis. You want to see an effect on injuries. You want to see an effect on long-term, on the brain, on the blood vessels, all these places where inflammation creates problems.
Right. So scientists developed this form that is bonded to some lipids, some fats, and it protects the curcumin from stomach acid digestion. At the optimal point of absorption, the curcumin is released and free curcumin passes through the gut barrier into the bloodstream. Free curcumin, not curcumin attached to anything, is the active form in the body, and it's the only form that readily crosses the blood-brain barrier.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to get it into the brain, where according to the National Institutes of Health, damage by free radicals increases and inflammation increases in the brain as we get older. You want something that will address free radicals, the oxidation, and inflammation in the brain, and curcumin is the perfect vehicle to do that, but it has to pass the blood-brain barrier. Now, other forms like attached to phytosomes,
Right.
lecithin, and
This,
lipids like that. Uh, they
this
are
little thing,
very
so-called
effective.
nanosphere technology. They encapsulate it in these tiny little beadlets, microscopic beadlets that are said to deliver it uh, metabolized throughout the body somehow.
Right. Now our company won't use the artificial nanotechnology because that's really a new material.
Okay.
Because if it's in a size that doesn't exist in nature
Uh-huh.
and they force it to be extremely tiny,
Yeah.
then it's going to go where that substance has never gone before.
Okay.
So we don't know the toxicity, we don't know the
To paraphrase
efficacy.
Star Trek, right?
Yes, exactly. So it really we consider that a novel artificial substance once
Okay.
nanotechnology is involved.
Okay.
But you can add lipids. There's the Mariva material, for
Right.
example,
That's
that's
real
used
popular.
for
Yeah.
joints.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that one does. I mean, I take it myself. It's
Mm-hmm.
very effective for inflammatory markers, oxidative markers, joint and muscle health,
Mm-hmm.
flexibility, mobility, but it's not good at crossing the blood-brain barrier. So if
Okay.
you're trying to address this cognitive issue,
Right.
you need one that's actually going to do that without introducing new things like the uh, nanotechnology
Right.
or using detergents or nasty chemicals to do it.
Polysorbate
Artificial
80.
means,
Yeah. Right.
yeah. So these guys at UCLA developed this material that is going to release the free curcumin. It's going to circulate. It's going to cross the blood-brain barrier. About half of it is capable of crossing the blood-brain barrier. And the ones that are attached to black pepper and the liposomes have not been shown to cross the blood-brain
Oh.
barrier.
Okay.
And once you get that, a reasonable dose, because it doesn't take much, in 4 weeks, there are significant results in tests on cognitive variables
Mm-hmm.
in human clinical studies, dozens of studies.
And by the way, just anecdotally is, I grew up in Southern California, and so in the near where UCLA is, and I remember visiting California many, many years ago, like must have been like 20 years ago, and I would hear advertisements recruiting volunteers for studies on the impact of curcumin on brain health from UCLA, which is a very, highly respected research center. So the research has been ongoing, and you say that this form perhaps was developed for the use case of applying it to the clinical studies where they really believe it should go to the brain. Now, Protocol for Life Balance has given it a kind of a catchy name. It's called Cogumin. Hey, are you responsible for that? Did you come up with it? Okay.
I come up with catchy names. I wouldn't consider this a catchy name. This
okay.
Is a technical name.
Okay. Cogumin.
Yeah.
Curcumin. Okay. And so that's the form which we would utilize for brain support. But you actually kind of hedge your bets there because on the one hand, you want to protect your joints. So you use the Mariva, which is kind of a pretty well-vetted, popular formulation of curcumin, but that more is likely to travel to the joints and less able to traverse the blood-brain barrier and get into the brain where it needs to do the work.
Right. And I mean, it's fine to take them or even to take both.
Yeah.
But, and there are some, Longvita, the material in this product we're talking about, does have studies showing that it affects inflammatory markers.
Okay.
The IL-6 and, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But that's not really the goal of the, brain neurological chemists who are working on this and who have developed this particular form of curcumin. They're going for a different benefit. So while they do have studies showing it does that, they're not as dramatic and not as many studies looking at inflammatory markers and in general and joint and muscle as something like the Mariva material.
Yeah, it's got an acronym of SLCP, I think.
Right. It's a solid lipid curcumin particle is
Okay.
what that stands for.
Okay.
And it's basically a little solid beadlet that releases, passes through the GI tract and dissolves in the intestine, at the small intestine, at the perfect spot where it absorbs well.
Right. Okay, folks, at this point, let's pause and allow one of our sponsors an opportunity to share an important message with you. So here it goes. Listen up.
Kyolic aged garlic extract is considered by many to be the GOAT of garlic, the greatest garlic supplement of all time. For over 50 years, Kyolic aged garlic extract has been the trusted choice for millions for safe, effective cardiovascular and immune support. Aged garlic extract's effectiveness is well documented in over 900 published scientific papers and studies. Kyolic aged garlic extract is created by aging organically grown garlic for up to 20 months. This unique aging process makes aged garlic extract gentle on the stomach, eliminates the offensive garlic odor and taste, and results in safe, beneficial compounds found only in Kyolic aged garlic extract products. Whether you're seeking ways to maintain healthy cholesterol or blood pressure levels, or strengthen your immunity, there is a Kyolic formula right for you. Visit Kyolic.com and learn about Kyolic's many health benefits. That's KYOLIC.com. Look for Kyolic at natural health stores nationwide and online.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. They're what make intelligent medicine a continuing free resource to you, with great guests like today's contributor, Neil Levin from Protocol for Life Balance. So let's move on to magnesium, because we know that magnesium plays a very, very important role in the body, in particular in energy production. And since the brain weighs merely 2% of what the body weighs, but consumes 20% of the body's energy economy, the brain is a highly energetic organ, and magnesium may play an important role in that. But just as with curcumin, you've been through the magnesium wars, right? There's the curcumin wars, there's the magnesium wars. Every company is coming up with a claim that their magnesium is more bioavailable, it gets to where it needs to go. So what's the pitch for a form of brain-active magnesium?
Well, magnesium is very important for the brain. And magnesium, a lot of people don't realize, gets rapidly depleted during stress. Cortisol, the stress hormone, rapidly uses up magnesium. And there's a store of magnesium in the adrenal gland that gets used. And magnesium is essential.
I just want to share just a quick illustration of that I sometimes use in lectures. You're free to borrow it, but for humans, supplementation is not that important. It's optional. But in animal husbandry, in agriculture, it's imperative because it means dollars. Right. The end point is that, the animal is healthier, the animal doesn't get sick, the animal doesn't die, the animal, weighs more, and that turns into profits. So it is well known in the pig industry, the pork industry, that when you transport these poor pigs from the farm, or now these days the farm factory, to the abattoir, fancy word which means slaughterhouse, that there's a high rate of death in transport, because what's more stressful than, and perhaps they have intimations of what's to come, they're getting herded onto a cattle car or a truck, and they die. And what do they die of? They die of magnesium deficiency. They actually found that they were able to ameliorate stress-related death in porkers, I guess that's what they call them, by giving them magnesium supplementation. So, that's kind of a pretty stark example of the important role that magnesium plays, and under stress it gets depleted and, can lead to bad outcomes, cardiac arrhythmias.
Yeah, so maybe an hour of extreme stress, your magnesium levels go down very, very low. And magnesium is needed to make acetylcholine. It's needed to make the sedentary, relaxing, calming neurotransmitters in the brain. And if you don't have them, the more excitatory, the aspartates and the glutamates start taking over the brain, and the brain gets more nervous and excited. And it actually could lead to cell death. It could actually be so extreme that you stress out the brain, the brain cells. and you lose these brain cells by being super stressed and losing your magnesium. So, this is important. And this form that was developed at MIT, magnesium L-threonate, a specific chelated or bonded magnesium, is the endogenous form in the cerebral spinal fluid. It's the form the body produces.
So it's the transporter for magnesium. In effect, that cation is, or, that binder, in effect, chelator transports magnesium in the central nervous system
to the brain, because that's the form that is formed in the brain.
Oh, wow. So, and I got to say, there's controversy over that. So again, this makes sense. And, there's certainly evidence that this is plausible, but are there clinical studies that actually show enhancement of cognitive function, short-term or long-term, with magnesium threonate?
Yeah, it does help with, they have done studies that it crosses the blood-brain barrier. They've done the cognitive studies on that. I've got studies with charts on there that show executive function and various cognitive attributes. And usually it's about 4 weeks for these studies. They're showing significant benefits.
So it's not like having a cup of coffee. It's not like, take your magnesium. It's not like it doesn't work instantaneously. You have to sort of build levels gradually. Is that roughly what's happening?
For the cognitive studies, yes, but for the offsetting the stress and protecting the brain cells and calming, it's actually fairly quick.
Okay. So, because they do sometimes recommend that people take magnesium at bedtime, as kind of a relaxing thing. Right. It's something to that.
Right, because it's involved to make serotonin.
Oh.
You have dietary tryptophan.
Right.
It's an essential amino acid.
Right.
About 10% of that converts into 5-HTP, 5-hydroxytryptophan, which is the direct pathway to serotonin.
Okay.
Serotonin is a calming, relaxing neurotransmitter and the precursor of melatonin, which we need to sleep. And you don't make those conversions without magnesium. Magnesium-dependent enzymes are responsible for making those transformations. So you're not going to have serotonin, melatonin. You're not going to sleep well if you don't have enough magnesium.
And remind us, probably because you know the statistic on the tip of your tongue, of what percentage of Americans are insufficient in magnesium. It's some astronomical percentage.
It's like 80%.
Yeah. According to the government, according to the NHANES study, which is, we're not talking about, according to, some, holistic
the Journal of
publication.
Science?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, magnesium deficiency is ubiquitous. We've got to supplement our magnesium, and if we want to get it to our brain. So other forms of magnesium don't get to the brain as readily? Is that what you're saying?
Right. They don't cross the blood-brain readily. They've looked at magnesium glycinate and other forms, and they simply don't tend to cross the blood-brain barrier very well because that's not the form the brain uses.
Okay, so what I do is I kind of hedge my bets, or I have a portfolio of magnesium supplements, some magnesium glycinate, and also I take the Magtine supplement, which is, what do you call it, your product?
Magtine.
Magtine, okay.
I take that one too.
Okay.
I take one at bedtime.
So I take, because I'm a little bit prone to muscle spasms. When I exercise, like my muscles go into spasm. And so I think for body, I'm taking maybe the magnesium that is more bioavailable to the body and musculature. And for brain, the Magtine kind of adds on to that. It's kind of hard to OD on magnesium unless you have really bad kidney failure. You will know if you get diarrhea, I guess, if you take too much.
Yeah, and that's dependent on how much is absorbed. The bioavailability of the magnesium form is the more that absorbs from the gut into the bloodstream, the less is passing through the large intestine, relaxing the muscles and causing the laxative effect.
Yeah, like osmotic diarrhea.
Why do people take Epsom salt?
Yeah, because it's not
it
absorbable.
Doesn't absorb well.
Not absorbable. Right.
And it's causing that laxative effect that people are looking for.
It's going to pass right through you. Yeah. Okay. All right, good stuff. Let's pause for a moment. I just want to give a heads up to our sponsor, which is PFLB, Protocol for Life Balance. For more information to order, just go to drhoffman.com/protocol for life balance. We got a special landing page at drhoffman.com. So drhoffman.com/protocol for life balance. That's drhoffman.com/protocol for life balance. And you could get more information. You can order the products that we've been talking about and full range of products from PFLB. They're a great company. And we're going to talk some more about brain health and some of the things that make sense when it comes to brain health. Perhaps touch on some things that don't make as much sense. Our guest is a frequent contributor here on Intelligent Medicine. He's Neil Edward Levin. And if he sounds like he's making sense and he communicates well, that's because that's what he does for a living. He is the Senior Nutrition Education Manager for Protocol for Life Balance and Now Foods, and he goes hither and thither and yon. I mean, he is definitely, you're like in the multi-million-mile club, right? In terms of the amount of the distance you've traversed across the world, talking to audiences in far-flung places.
Oh, probably. In October alone, I was in Romania, North Macedonia, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, Kuwait City, and the capital of Bahrain.
Not to mention,
I was in all those countries in 1 month.
Not to mention exotic places like Scottsdale, Arizona, and Vancouver, British Columbia. Yeah. Okay. So you've been around the block. All right. Good stuff. When we return, more on the subject of nutritional support for brain health. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, and this is the Intelligent Medicine Podcast.